Hello, welcome to my channel, Smells Meaningful. I'm Jamian, your psychopomp of perfume, and it is eclipse season. What does that mean and what does it have to do with perfume? Keep watching, I am so excited to tell you. This solar eclipse will be happening on August 12th, and it'll be visible from parts of Iceland, Greenland, and Spain. I like to look at everything symbolically. I like to interconnect all of my interests, so that is going to include perfume, interconnecting with tarot and astrology as symbolic systems. Before I ever got interested in symbolic systems, I was interested in natural history, geology, astronomy, the more typical hard sciences. So I've always been an eclipse junkie. So let's examine for a second what an eclipse is. A solar eclipse is when the moon passes between the Earth and the sun. It blocks out the sun's rays. If you're in the path of a total solar eclipse, it blocks out the sun completely. It's just so cool to me that the size of the moon is just perfect to actually block out the entire orb of the sun, and it becomes night virtually for a few minutes when that happens, when you are in the path of a solar eclipse. Now, even when you're not in that path, the symbolism of a solar eclipse, knowing that that is happening somewhere on our planet, that's very symbolic. That is huge. The sun represents the source of all life. I think even before we understood photosynthesis and the science of the food chain and how the sun feeds the plants and the plants feed the animals and the bugs, and then the carnivores eat the herbivores and that whole chain of life, there was still an awareness that all life comes from the sun. It is warm, it is bright. We can't survive without the light from the sun and the warmth that it brings. And so many solar deities are based in that brightness, that light, that radiance. It is the dominant object in our sky. When it is gone, we can hardly see at night after the sun sets. So it's very understandable that the sun represents radiance, royalty, deity, divine nature, usually the dominant god in a belief system, a polytheistic or even animistic system. Usually the sun is at the top of the pyramid of deities and power. And this symbolism of the sun is particularly relevant to this eclipse because this eclipse is the first eclipse in this cycle that is taking place in the sign of Leo. So solar eclipse in Leo. So sun symbolism is always relevant to a solar eclipse, to any eclipse, but to a solar eclipse in particular, but then doubling down on solar symbolism for the eclipse in the sign of Leo, because Leo is also ruled by the sun. Now, if we look at the symbolism of Leo, Leo is the lion. It is often associated with royalty, with fame, with high visibility, see and be seen, natural leader, charisma. So when we talk about an eclipse in that sign, we're going to be talking about blocking out those things. And in ancient times, this was an unexpected event. And so if we talk about an unexpected blocking out of this radiant, divine, royal energy, that's a pretty intense type of symbolism. Now, eclipses don't just mean blocking out the energy of whatever sign they're in or blocking out solar energy, although that is a major signification of eclipses. Solar eclipses take place in a new moon phase. That means if there wasn't an eclipse happening, it would be a regular new moon phase of the cycle when the moon is passing near the sun and it's so close to the sun that there's not really a separate moonrise where you can actually see the moon. So it's a dark moon. And that new moon phase is associated with nascent energy, the birth of new things. It is something that is in the womb, in the darkness, that is going to be ready to emerge soon. And so we have that symbolic energy every month, every new moon, but when it's an eclipse, it puts particular significance on that new moon, and it starts a cycle that lasts 18 months of eclipses in a particular sign. So you can think of this as the moment where intentions for the next 18 months are going to be conceived and going to be starting their time in the womb, where they prepare to be developed and born. So those are the significations of eclipses in general, is possibly blocking out of solar energies, which can even mean a symbolic, I won't really talk about literal death, but it could be a symbolic death of solar types of figures or energies in your life. It's a time to reflect on concepts like that, or a time to reflect on the conception of energy in that part of your life. Okay, solar eclipse in Leo. What does that have to do with perfume? Well, I picked a perfume that to me embodies the energies I'm talking about with Leo, with the potential blocking out of that solar energy. And the perfume I picked is Warrior Queen from Cognoscenti. And this is the brand produced by Danielle Sargent, and she's just fantastic. I've spoken about her and this brand before. Danielle Sargent is also an amazing artist who works in images of flowers, and she uses cosmetics and these just powerful, evocative symbols in her art that relate to her fragrances. So you can see why her process is right up my alley. And this is the image that goes along with the Warrior Queen perfume. This perfume, Warrior Queen, if you think about Leo, that is royal energy. So we're talking about kings and queens, rulers, leaders. So Warrior Queen. The warrior part relates to the decan of Leo. That's one of the 10-degree sections of the sign, which is ruled by Mars. So every 10-degree section of Leo is ruled by a different planet. And this particular section of Leo, where the eclipse is happening, is ruled by Mars. Mars is the god of warriors. So Warrior Queen is very fitting for this eclipse. And I think it's very fitting for eclipses in Leo in general, because the archetype of Leo is putting it all out there, putting yourself in the leadership position where you are accountable. You decide the action, the course of action that you're going to take for everything that you're responsible for. A warrior queen is going to put their life on the line for whatever and whoever they are the sovereign of. And the other symbol of this that I have is this tarot card, which by means that are a little complicated to explain, this card is associated with that last decan of Leo, where the solar eclipse is taking place this week. This is the 7 of Wands, and it is a representation of Mars in the sign of Leo. And we see this is kind of a combative image. This could be a warrior defending their territory. It's it's a male presenting, male coded card, it appears, but we can relate this to, it doesn't have to be gendered. So I am still standing by my pick of Warrior Queen as the fragrance to represent Mars in Leo, the solar eclipse happening on August 12th. And the notes of this fragrance, Warrior Queen from Cognoscenti, include Italian bergamot, coriander seed, lavender absolute, neroli, orris root, amber, sandalwood, oak moss, cypriol, cocoa, vetiver, and patchouli. Now, we can break down the symbolism even of these separate notes. So the citruses, bergamot and neroli, those are going to be very solar. Citruses are bright, acidic, tart, energizing, and those are all very solar archetypes to go with the sign of Leo ruled by the sun and a solar eclipse. We have coriander seed, some aromatics here. Those can be linked to Mars, things that are kind of sharp, biting, spicy. Those are associated with Mars, which is the ruler of this separate little section of the sign of Leo where this eclipse is taking place. We have lavender, another aromatic, that's Mercury ruled, which I don't have a tie-in for that right off the top of my head, but orris root is often, I haven't looked this up in advance, but orris feels very regal to me. I think a lot of the perfumes that you see associated with royal lineages and royal commissions include orris root or iris. It has amber, which is, the not mineral, but the fossilized resin that becomes amber. It's orange, it's almost luminous, it's very solar, even though you often think of it more in the winter months where the sun isn't as visible, but it has a very solar feel to it in the sense of it being warming and the amber stone being visually orange and kind of luminous. We also have sandalwood, which is an extremely regal tree. We have oak moss, cypriol, cocoa, vetiver, and patchouli. So those are some base notes that don't necessarily have particular tie-ins, but they give it a rootedness, a presence. Okay, here's the tie-in. It's Leo is a fixed sign, and that's part of how it symbolizes this energy of royalty. You want royalty to be stable. You want it to be reliable, responsible, accountable. And so that fixed energy and solar energy together represent stable leadership. And these base notes are very good, strong, earthy, rooted, substantial base notes. So our Warrior Queen fragrance has a lot of rooted earthiness. She has warmth and radiance and solar powered charisma. And she's willing to put it all on the line. She's a warrior. She's going to risk her life, just like our Seven of Wands. She's going to be on the front line for what she believes in. And in a time of an eclipse, that risk, the potential downside of that risk, the life or death of the situation is really top of mind. So this is a time to reflect on what you're willing to be accountable for and what you're willing to do to forward those goals. What would you risk your life for? What would you put everything on the line for? And I think this fragrance helps tap into the contemplation of that and the action of it. I'm a contemplative type of person, so it is hard for me to get into action mode sometimes, but this type of fragrance can help me get there. Not just think about your values, but get out there and put something on the line. So I'm putting myself out here on YouTube. This is one of my first videos, and I'm trying to take action for what I believe in, which is getting information out there to people about the interconnections between things like fragrance and symbolic systems and mental health and well-being. So I hope you enjoy this video. I hope that you will like and subscribe and set your notifications and share this video with people who have similar, unusual, interconnected interests. And I hope to see you again soon. One more tarot tidbit about eclipses is this card, which is a tarot card that actually represents an eclipse. It doesn't have to do with the signs where the eclipse is happening this time around, but here we can pretty clearly see the moon passing in front of the sun. You might think that this crescent that you can see is a moon, but it actually most likely depicts the sun with the moon as a full circle moving in front of it. So you couldn't really have the sun going in front of the moon. The geometry doesn't work that way. So here is our 8 of Cups depicting an eclipse.